Scene script. Have you ever felt like a failure, like everything you touch crumbles into dust? In life, we all encounter moments where we feel we've failed. It's that sinking sensation in the pit of your stomach when you realize something didn't go as planned. It's the bitter taste of disappointment, the sting of unmet expectations. It's the feeling you get when you look in the mirror and see someone who didn't quite measure up to the task at hand. This sense of failure can be overwhelming, can it? It can consume you, leaving you feeling worthless, inadequate, and defeated. It's a heavy burden to bear, this feeling of not being good enough. And it's a feeling that's all too common in our society today. From a young age, we are conditioned to equate success with happiness. We're taught that to fail is to be less than, to be unworthy. We're conditioned to believe that our value lies in our achievements, and when we fall short, we're left feeling less than whole. This is the societal stigma attached to failure. We live in a world that idolizes success and shuns failure. Everywhere we look, we see images of perfection, of success, of achievement. Social media feeds are filled with pictures of perfect homes, perfect bodies, perfect lives. But this is not reality. This is a carefully curated illusion, a facade that hides the truth. Because the truth is, we all fail, we all stumble, we all fall short. But here's the thing about failure, it's not the end of the world, it's not a death sentence, it's not a mark of shame. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Failure is an opportunity, it's a chance to learn, to grow, to evolve. It's a stepping stone on the path to success. So the next time you find yourself face to face with failure, remember this. You are not defined by your failures, but by how you respond to them. Failure is not a measure of your worth, but a measure of your resilience. But what if I told you failure is not the end, but rather the beginning of a new journey? Consider Job, a man in the Bible who experienced what many would consider the ultimate failure. Venture with me back to the days of Job, a man of impeccable character and immense wealth. He was a paragon of virtue, always doing what was just and shunning evil. But then, in a swift and devastating turn of events, he lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health. The story of Job is a profound exploration of suffering and resilience. His life was swept up in a whirlwind of misfortune, and yet he held steadfast in his faith. His friends and even his wife encouraged him to curse God and die. But Job remained resolute. He wrestled with his circumstances and questioned God, yes, but he never lost faith. Now imagine if Job had decided to surrender to his circumstances, to label himself a failure and to give up. But he didn't. He chose to persevere, to hold on to hope, and to maintain his integrity even in the face of unimaginable hardship. Job's story is a testament to the human spirit's resilience. It's about finding strength in the midst of suffering, holding on to faith in the face of despair, and understanding that our worth is not determined by our circumstances. Just like Job, we all face trials of many kinds. We encounter setbacks, we stumble, we fall, we lose jobs, relationships, and sometimes our health. We experience what feels like failure. But remember Job, remember his resilience, remember his faith, remember his endurance. Job's story is not one of failure but of triumphant faith. His wealth was restored, he had more children, and his latter days were more blessed than his beginning. His story is a reminder that our struggles, our setbacks, our failures are not the end. They are merely chapters in our life story, teaching us, molding us, preparing us for what's yet to come. Job's story shows us that even in our darkest moments, failure is not the end. Another powerful illustration is the story of Peter, a man who knew the bitter taste of failure. Peter, one of the closest disciples of Jesus, was a man of immense faith. Yet even he had moments where he stumbled. Most notably during Jesus' trial, Peter denied knowing Jesus 3 times, just as Jesus had predicted. This denial, this failure, was a significant moment in Peter's life. It was a moment of fear, doubt, and regret. But it was also a moment that led to growth and transformation. Imagine the remorse Peter must have felt. He had walked with Jesus, seen his miracles, and heard his teachings, yet when the moment of truth came, he faltered. This was not a mere stumble, but a fall. He denied his Lord, the very person he had left everything to follow. The cock crowed, and Peter was confronted with the harsh reality of his failure. But the story doesn't end there. Peter's failure was not his final chapter. After Jesus' resurrection, he sought out Peter. In a poignant exchange by the Sea of Galilee, Jesus asked Peter 3 times if he loved him, mirroring Peter's earlier denial. Each time Peter affirmed his love, Jesus commissioned him to feed his sheep, symbolizing Peter's role in leading the early church. In fact, Peter became a cornerstone of the early Christian church. He preached the first sermon after Jesus' ascension, leading 3,000 souls to Christ. He became a bold witness, unafraid to proclaim his faith, even when faced with imprisonment and death. Peter's story is a vivid reminder that our failures are not the end of our journey. They can be catalysts for growth, opportunities for self-reflection, and stepping stones to greater achievements. Peter's denial could have been his downfall, but instead it became a turning point. His remorse led to repentance, his repentance to restoration, and his restoration to a pivotal role in the spread of Christianity. Like Peter, our failures do not have to define us. Embracing failure is not about celebrating defeat, but about recognizing its inherent value. It's about understanding that failure, much like the crucible of a blacksmith, shapes and tempers us into stronger, more resilient beings. It's about accepting that failure, like the winter season, may seem harsh and unforgiving, but it's during this time that deep roots grow. Let's delve into the book of Romans, chapter 5, verses 3-4, which says, "We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation." These verses mirror the philosophy of embracing failure. It's not the fall that defines us, but how we rise from it. Failure is a teacher, a stern and honest one. It strips us of our pretenses and exposes our weaknesses, but it also illuminates our strengths, our resilience, and our capacity to adapt. It's in these moments of defeat where we find the raw material for our character. In the same vein, failure also plays a pivotal role in our spiritual growth. It's during these trying times that we are reminded of our reliance on God's grace. It's in these moments of despair that we find the profound strength in surrendering our worries to Him. Just as a piece of coal is subjected to intense heat and pressure to transform into a diamond, we too are refined through our failures. So let's shift our perspective. Let's view failure not as a dead end, but a detour to a better route. Let's see it not as a stumbling block, but a stepping stone towards a higher calling. Remember, failure is not a condemnation, but a conversation with ourselves about where we are, where we need to be, and how we can get there. A conversation with God about our faith, trust, and dependence on Him. Remember, in the grand design of life, failure is not the end. Rather, it's a vital part of our journey towards growth, resilience, and ultimately victory. Resilience is not an innate quality, but a journey that often begins with failure. The Bible is rich with tales of resilience, stories of individuals who faced immense trials and tribulations, yet emerged stronger, more steadfast in their faith. Take Job, for instance. Here was a man who lost everything, his wealth, his family, his health. Yet, even in his darkest hour, Job did not waver in his faith. He faced his trials with courage and patience, demonstrating an extraordinary level of resilience. His story serves as a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of faith. Then there's Peter, a man who knew failure intimately. He denied Jesus, not once, but 3 times. Yet this failure did not define him. Instead, it served as a catalyst for change. Peter chose to learn from his mistakes, to grow and to transform. He went on to become a pillar of the early Christian church, demonstrating that failure, while painful, can also be a powerful teacher. So how can we cultivate this kind of resilience? First, we must learn to view failure not as a dead end, but as a stepping stone towards growth. It's about learning to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward. Second, we can draw strength from our faith. Just as Job and Peter found solace and strength in their faith, so can we. Faith can provide us with a sense of purpose, a beacon of hope in the midst of adversity. Lastly, we must cultivate a spirit of patience and perseverance. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, but about learning to endure, to persist, even in the face of adversity. It's about developing the grit and determination to keep going no matter what. So the next time you face failure, remember, it's not the end, but the beginning of your journey to resilience.